Hi everyone, Damien Fates here, and welcome back to Until Dawn. You might notice it looks a little bit weird right now, and that's because my game footage did not record last time I played. So I'm going to do my best to tell you all the things that happened, so you're at least caught up with the story for the next episode. My microphone was working for the recording, so if you just want to hear me rambling on without seeing any footage, you can check a link in the description below. Otherwise, here is my recreation of what happened in Until Dawn for this episode. So we started out pretty much where we left off. Emily and Matt were on the top of a cliff where Beth and Hannah had fallen off like a year ago, and they were surrounded by deers who looked like they were about to charge them off the cliff. It was pretty scary. But then they just started to sort of make way. They parted like the Red Seas, just letting us walk through. And the game was giving me an option to actually bash one of them in the head with the axe that I had in my hand. But I chose not to, so he was happy, and they let us by. And that was it. That was totally fine. The deer all disappeared, and then we started climbing up the mountain towards the fire tower. We get to the fire tower, and it's like this super rickety tower with multiple levels. You had to climb up ladders to get up there. And one of the things we saw while we were climbing up was a totem, and the totem showed Chris putting a gun down on a table. So I figure at some point in the future, we're going to need to convince him to do so. I'm guessing, you know, the totems are always kind of vague with what they want you to do. We get to the top of the tower. We use a radio, and the person obviously on the other end cannot hear as well. But after trying multiple times and insisting that, you know, we're in trouble, giving them the details of where we are, they actually say they're going to come get us. And then I realized that, oh, maybe that was the killer. And right on cue, the killer's outside the tower, and he knocks down some of the supports or something with an axe, and the tower starts to lean over. And Emily and Matt are like scrambling inside, falling around, and basically the tower collapses off this mountain and ends up at the top of like a mine shaft or something. I don't really know what it was. It was just a big hole in the ground, and Emily is hanging from it by her hands. Matt's kind of got a good footing on it, and we're controlling him now, and we're basically given the option of whether or not to save Emily. So of course, even though I don't like Emily, I'm like, okay, sure, I'll save you. It didn't work though, and then the tower collapses a little bit more, and I'm given the option again if I'm gonna save her or save myself. And right now Emily's just being like, oh, you never listen to me, and you're the worst, why don't you take things seriously? I don't know what she's going on about, but she is rambling in a way that makes no sense in this situation, and really, really tempted me to just be like, you know what? See ya, Emily, I'm saving myself. But I didn't do that. I went ahead and I saved her. Again, or at least I chose to do so. But the tower collapsed even more after I said I was going to save her. And it basically starts plummeting down this mine shaft. Matt jumps off onto like a ledge, and he's safe, but Emily is presumed dead. Now we don't see her die, so I'm kind of guessing that she's probably still alive, because this game does that a lot where somebody seems like they've died, but if you don't see them actually get exploded into blood or something, then they're probably okay. So then we're controlling Matt again. And he's in this mine shaft, this mine tunnel. And it's like 2 seconds before he's suddenly grabbed from behind and is dragged along. And unfortunately, he gets hooked. He gets meat hooked through the face. Now, it's probably a good thing you didn't see this, because it was pretty horrific. But yeah, he's dead. He is done for. So R.I.P. Matt. Then the scene swaps back to the lodge, and we have Chris and Ashley, and they're looking for Sam right now. But things get really, really spooky in the lodge, because now doors are like opening and closing by themselves. They're basically, Ashley and Chris are basically herded through the house a specific way, because every door that they tried to open that would lead them away from whatever the psychopath wants them to go down is closed. Doors are opening in front of them and closing behind. It's just creepy. And they end up sort of going down the same path that Sam was running from the killer through. And they notice, or rather Ashley notice, something like a ghost. Now, when I first saw it, I'm like, oh, it's Sam, I think, because it seemed like a woman with a bit of white clothing on. It was really brief and in the distance. I'm like, oh, it's Sam. She's got her towel around her. She's going around the corner. But we're around the corner and she was gone. In fact, the corner was like a dead end. So that was kind of weird. And of course, Chris didn't see it, so he doesn't believe us. He's like, there's no such thing as ghosts, actually. But I don't know. Things are going crazy right now. I'd be down to believe anything. And we go again, following where we think this ghost is, and we find a dollhouse. And inside the dollhouse is a setup of the night a year ago where Beth was like humiliated. They videotape her like taking her top off. So it was basically a setup of that with dolls. Really, really creepy dolls. They had their eyes gouged out with like blood down their faces. So we're looking at this scene and talking about it. Well, one of the dolls in the background, I think it's the doll actually was representing not Beth, Hannah, I think. I don't know. One of the two sisters. And its eyes like open and it tilts its head and it's really freaky. And we're like, okay, definitely there's a ghost going on right now. Definitely ghosts. It was horrible. It was super, super scary. And I think that's about as far as I got before the footage, before I noticed that the footage was gone and then I started recording again. So yeah, that's my recall of what happened during the episode that you missed. I'm sorry that you gotta deal with like this poor representation of it, but I hope you enjoyed the episode anyway, guys. And I'll see you next time for some actual Until Dawn gameplay. Goodbye.